There's a market in Kinshasa that just became the blueprint for how Africa develops on its own terms. And when I say blueprint, I'm not being dramatic. This thing just won international awards, it's sustaining itself, and it's proving something the West has been trying to deny for decades. Let me break this down for you because this is bigger than just one building project. Zando Market, right in the heart of Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. This market has been feeding, clothing, and connecting people since 1944. We're talking about a marketplace that served 1 million people every single day. Let that sink in. 1 million shoppers daily, 20,000 vendors, an entire economic ecosystem functioning at the center of one of Africa's largest cities. But here's what makes this story explosive. They just rebuilt this entire market using African design principles, local materials, sustainable architecture, and it's already changing the conversation about what African infrastructure should look like. The West wants to give us shopping malls and strip plazas. But Zando Market just said, nah, we're doing this our way. And the results? They're undeniable. First, let's talk about what this market was dealing with. By 2021, Zando Market was bursting at the seams. You had 1 million people flooding through daily, but the infrastructure was falling apart. 9 toilets. Count them. 9 toilets for a market serving 1 million people a day. 20,000 vendors working in scorching heat with almost no ventilation. 9 tons of garbage piling up every single day. Our mothers standing in the sun from dawn to dusk with no shade, no relief, just raw hustle trying to feed their families. The Western media would look at that and say, see, Africa can't manage itself. They need development aid. They need foreign experts to come save them. But that's not what happened here. Because when they closed Zando Market in 2021, the vision wasn't to replace it with some foreign concept. The vision was to ask, what if we took what already works about African markets and made it work better? See, that's the sovereignty question right there. Do we erase our culture to develop, or do we develop our culture? Here's what they did with Zando Market. And I need you to really hear this, because it's revolutionary in its simplicity. They didn't build a Western-style shopping center. They studied how African markets actually function. The flow, the energy, the social connections, the way trading happens, the way community gets built through these daily economic interactions. And they said, how do we preserve this while solving the infrastructure problems? The result? 23 acres of reimagined marketplace. But here's the beautiful part. It feels like an African market. It functions like an African market because it is an African market, just elevated. They used locally produced terracotta bricks, not imported materials, not foreign supply chains. Local bricks, supporting local craftsmen, keeping money in local economies. That's economic sovereignty in action. The design uses perforated brick facades. You know what that means? Natural ventilation, natural cooling, no massive air conditioning bills, no dependency on expensive energy infrastructure. They worked with the environment instead of fighting against it. That's indigenous innovation that our ancestors understood but we forgot while chasing Western models. 10,000 stalls, not franchises, not corporate chains. 10,000 independent vendors, 10,000 small businesses, 10,000 families building wealth through trade the way Africans have done for millennia. Now let's talk about what this market actually contains, because this is where you see the genius of combining tradition with innovation. 272 toilets, from 9 to 272. That's not just infrastructure, that's dignity. That's saying our vendors and shoppers deserve basic sanitation. That's saying African markets can have world-class facilities. 40 cold storage rooms. You understand what that means for food security. For reducing waste, vendors can store perishables properly. Food lasts longer. Prices stabilize. Families waste less money. That's economic efficiency designed for our climate, our products, our reality. High-speed internet throughout the market. Mobile money integration, digital connectivity. Because African markets aren't stuck in the past, we're leapfrogging into the future on our own terms. Vendors can take digital payments, track inventory, connect with suppliers, all while maintaining that face-to-face trading culture that makes markets the heart of African communities. fire safety systems, CCTV security, proper lighting. These aren't luxury features. These are basics that protect lives and livelihoods. But for decades, African markets were left to function without them, while Western cities got every safety feature imaginable. And here's the part that gets me excited. 2 food courts, banking facilities, spaces for community gathering. This isn't just a place to buy and sell. This is a complete economic and social ecosystem. This is where culture lives. You know what the architects said? The ones who won that international award for this design? They said they wanted to keep the quality and characteristics of the African market while modernizing it. And that judge from Nigeria, she hit the nail on the head. She said most solutions we get in Africa are Western imports because our education system teaches us that's the only way things can be done. But markets like Zando prove that's propaganda. Think about what markets mean across this continent. Markets aren't just economic, they're social, they're political, they're cultural. When you go to the market, you're not just buying tomatoes. You're connecting with your community. You're hearing news. You're building relationships. You're participating in an economic system that sustained African societies for thousands of years. Western shopping malls try to replace that with sterile, climate-controlled isolation. You scan your items, you pay a machine, you leave. No connection, no community, no culture. But Zando Market said, we can have modern infrastructure and maintain that vibrant market culture. We can have sanitation and spontaneity. We can have safety and soul. That's not just development. That's cultural preservation through intelligent design. Let's talk economics because this is where sovereignty gets real. This market represents £56 million of investment staying productive in the DRC. That's construction jobs, materials sourcing, ongoing employment, vendor income, taxes, everything circulating through the Congolese economy. 10,000 stores means 10,000 income streams, not employees making minimum wage at some foreign corporation's franchise. Independent business owners controlling their own destiny, setting their own prices, building their own customer relationships, accumulating their own wealth. Multiply that by the families each vendor supports. Multiply that by the suppliers they buy from. Multiply that by the customers they serve. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people whose economic lives revolve around this single marketplace. And because it's designed sustainably, local materials, natural ventilation, renewable practices, the operating costs stay reasonable. That means vendor fees can stay accessible. That means the market stays competitive with informal street trading. That means it actually serves the community instead of pricing them out. Compare that to what happens when Western developers come in. They build high-end retail spaces, rent is astronomical, only chains can afford it, local vendors get pushed out, and suddenly the community can't even shop in their own neighborhood. That's economic colonialism in a new suit. But Zando Market, it's proving you can modernize without gentrifying. You can upgrade without displacing. You can build world-class infrastructure that still serves everyday people. Now here's where this gets really exciting. Imagine this model spreading across Africa. Every major city has these historic markets. Lagos has multiple. Accra's Makola Market, Nairobi's Gikomba, Kampala's Owino, Addis Ababa's Mercato, one of the largest open-air markets in the world, Dakar's Sandaga Market, Johannesburg's Mai Mai. What if every single one of these got the Zando treatment? Not demolished for shopping malls, not displaced for foreign investment projects, but reimagined with the same principles. Preserve the culture, upgrade the infrastructure, use local materials, sustainable design, community ownership. You're talking about tens of millions of jobs, billions in local economic circulation, cultural preservation on a massive scale, and sustainable development that doesn't require dependency on foreign aid or foreign expertise. This is what Pan-African development actually looks like, not waiting for the World Bank, not begging for foreign direct investment, not copying Western models, but Africans looking at African solutions and saying, how do we make this excellent? Each city, each country, adapting the blueprint to their own context. Coastal cities incorporating fishing market needs. Agricultural regions focusing on produce storage. Each one learning from the others. Each one contributing to a continental knowledge base of what works. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you because that's what we do here. This project wasn't without controversy, and we need to talk about it honestly. In May 2024, two Congolese anti-corruption organizations, the Public Expenditure Observatory and the Congolese League Against Corruption, they documented serious concerns about this project. They pointed to inconsistencies in the contract, questions about transparency, concerns about competence in how the deal was structured. And listen, those corruption allegations need full investigation. These are legitimate Congolese watchdog organizations doing the work of accountability. That matters. Our sovereignty means nothing if we're just replacing foreign exploitation with local exploitation. Nothing. So yes, celebrate this achievement and demand accountability. Both things can be true. Both things are necessary. We can recognize that world-class infrastructure got built while also insisting that every franc, every decision, every contract be transparent and serve the people. That's what mature governance looks like. That's what sovereignty with integrity looks like. Because the alternative is what? Ignore corruption and let it rot the system from inside? Or refuse to build anything until we have perfect governance? Neither of those paths leads anywhere good. We build, we scrutinize, we investigate, we hold people accountable, we improve, and we keep building. That's how sovereignty works in the real world. Messy, complicated, but moving forward. And I know some of you are thinking, but you mentioned French architects earlier. There was a Chinese construction company. How is that sovereignty? Here's the thing, and this is important. Sovereignty is not isolation. It's not about refusing to work with anyone outside our borders. That's not strength. That's cutting yourself off from knowledge, expertise, and resources that could serve your people. Sovereignty is about terms. It's about who controls the vision, who owns the asset, who benefits long term. This isn't a French company building a shopping center they'll own and profit from forever. This isn't a Chinese firm extracting resources disguised as development. This is a Congolese-led partnership where the vision came from understanding what African markets need, the design preserved African market culture, and the ownership stays in Congolese hands. The operating company controls it for 25 years, then it transfers to the government. That's African ownership. The money circulates through the Congolese economy. That's economic sovereignty. The culture got preserved and elevated, not erased. That's cultural sovereignty. Using global expertise to build African infrastructure for African people on African terms, that's strategic partnership. That's intelligence. That's the kind of sovereignty that actually builds nations. Now here's the real test of whether this market serves the people or just looks good for international awards. Those 20,000 vendors who were displaced when the market closed in 2021, they were relocated to surrounding markets. Some protested, their livelihoods were disrupted, and the question that matters most is this: can they afford to come back? Will the stall fees be accessible? Will this market price out the very people it's supposed to serve? Because we've seen this story before, development that displaces communities instead of uplifting them. Modernization that only the middle class can access, while everyday vendors get pushed further to the margins. So when Zando Market opens in February, that's what we're watching. Not just whether it's beautiful, not just whether it wins more awards, but whether our mothers and sisters who've been selling in Kinshasa markets for decades can afford to be there, whether it serves them or just serves optics. That's the difference between development that liberates and development that excludes. And the jury's still out. But here's what's undeniable. Think about what Zando Market represents to a young architect in Nairobi, or an urban planner in Accra, or an entrepreneur in Dakar. It's proof of concept. It's a working model. It's evidence that African solutions to African challenges can win international recognition while serving local needs. That award they won, the Holcim Foundation Award for Sustainable Design, that's global recognition that our approach to development is not just valid, it's leading. The world is watching what happens in Kinshasa and learning from it. And inside the DRC itself, despite the ongoing conflict in the eastern regions, despite the challenges, despite everything the media focuses on when they talk about Congo, there's this market about to open saying, we're still here, we're still building, we're still dreaming. That's the Africa they don't show you. The Africa that doesn't stop. The Africa that builds through adversity. The Africa that refuses to be defined solely by its struggles. So when Zando Market opens its doors next month, It's not just opening a marketplace, it's opening a conversation about what African development can be, should be, will be. It's saying we can honor our past while building our future. We can preserve our culture while embracing innovation. We can develop on our terms with our values for our people. But it's also saying we'll hold our leaders accountable. We'll demand transparency. We'll make sure development serves the people, not just the powerful. Brothers and sisters, this is what sovereignty looks like when it moves from theory to concrete reality. Complex, imperfect, but undeniably moving forward. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would this look like in your city? What markets in your country need this treatment? And how do we make sure these projects serve everyday people, not just elites? Let's keep this conversation going because Zando Market is just the beginning. Share this with someone who needs to see Africa building with accountability. Subscribe if you believe in African solutions with African integrity. Africa is building, and we're watching closely to make sure we build right. I'll see you in the next video.